Hello and welcome everyone to our live event. We've got an amazing topic for you today, AI for accounting firms, what you should be doing right now. Brought to you live by Tax Nuggets Academy. Hello, I'm Joyce, founder and CEO of Tax Nuggets, and I am your host for today. So introducing our instructor today, she is a renowned tech strategist and thought leader specializing in AI apps for professional services firms. So please put your emoji hands together to give a very warm welcome to Inbal Rodnay. Hi, Inbal.
Hello, how are you?
Very, very good.
I love that we start with music and dance.
Yeah, it's a good topic. I love AI topic.
It is a good topic.
It's mind bending.
Over to me?
Yes.
All
over
right.
to you. What
Over
are we
to me.
talking about today?
All right, let's get started then. So we only have less than an hour. There's so much to talk about with AI. I need 17 hours, but we'll do what we can. Let's look at what we want to start with today. So we will maybe use this slide for that. No, we'll use this slide for that. Okay, so we will talk about where we are now, where I see accounting firms in Australia and New Zealand with their adoption of AI. And then we'll do a bit of true or false play. I love that part. I really enjoy that. And then we'll talk about the roadmap to implement AI in your firm. So today is not a training session on how to use AI. We'll do that another time. Today is about how to adopt it into your business. What are the steps, how to do it well, right? And to get started, I really like knowing how often people use AI like ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot for work. And just 4 options. Never tried a few times, sometimes, or all the time. So if people can go into slido.com and put this number in, or just scan this QR code, that will give us an idea of who's in the room. And that will also help me gauge or decide how detailed I go, if there are people in the room who've never used it, or if there are people who use it all the time.
Yep, sounds good. So get involved, people. You can also join through your mobile by scanning the QR code. The link is also in the chat. If you just click on that, and then, it'll take you to the quiz or the poll. And you can keep the same browser page open because that will refresh as we have new questions. All right, we've got like 80 people who have voted. Thank you.
Right. Great. So we've got a few. What we're seeing is got about 10% of the room that never tried. This is very typical to what I see when I visit accounting firms. There's still people who never tried. And really often it's about not sure which tools to start with, not sure where to go. I'm not sure if it's safe. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to. So it's a bit too hard. I'll help you today because I'll tell you which tools I think you should use. People who tried a few times, we've got about 15, 20% of the people here. Often that has to do with, I tried it a few times. It was wrong. It wasn't good. So it's not good. I'm not using it again. But we can do better. We can learn how to get the right results from it. Or it has to do with, I tried it a few times. It wrote a sonnet for me. It drew a picture of a cat for me. It helped me write a greeting card for a birthday. But really, that's not what I do for work. I don't need it for work. Well, we'll talk about that too. We do need it for work. And then we've got people here using it sometimes and all the time, 40, 30, about 70%. Fantastic. This is very representative of what I'm seeing in accounting firms. And it's we need to constantly try and push ourselves into all the time. You'll see some of my stats later today of this particular question that I ask in a lot of, pretty much everywhere I go, in firms and in conferences.
Yep.
Thank you everyone for contributing. This is super helpful. So from there, let's talk about where we are today. I'll talk to you about how to adopt, which tool to use, and even a bit of who to follow to keep up to date, right? Great. So where I'm seeing accounting firms in Australia and New Zealand today, the first group that I'm seeing are the resistant. Those are people who actively avoid AI. They will not use AI. It is not good. It is the source of all evil. It will take over civilization, whatever. They're not in. I'm imagining they're not here in the room. So move on. The next group is those that are observing. So there's sort of passive awareness there. They go to conferences, maybe they come and listen to a webinar, maybe they read some articles online, follow some people, but they're not actively engaging. For me, these two are below the line now for 2025. It was okay in 2023, maybe 2024, but now it's not good enough now, because now we all have to find ways to upskill ourselves and get ready for what's coming. And so other firms that I see today, and probably the majority, is in the dabbling group. So sporadic use. So there's that person there, Joyce, she's doing our thing and she's using AI. That's awesome. And there's person there in the business, Vicky, she's also using AI for some things. I think I've heard, I'm not sure exactly what she's doing with it, but she's doing. And then all the rest of us, we don't. And if Joyce found an awesome way to use it, nobody else knows and nobody else is doing it. And to be honest, I'm not sure how Joyce is using it. Is she doing it safely? Is she sharing confidential information? Is she verifying? Is she doing it well? I have no idea.
Very inconsistent.
Is it consistent? Is she verifying the result? Like, how is Joyce using AI? I haven't trained her. I didn't give her a policy. I don't know. So it's a better place to be, I think, than those that are completely not using it, but we can do better. Where we want to be today is in the adopting group. So this is where I've got everybody trained. Everybody knows what they're allowed and not allowed to do. Everybody knows how to use it responsibly, and we're doing it well as a firm. And we even capture the great use cases and put them into our workflows as this is the way we do things. And I'll show you today how to make that move. The top group is the mastering, and these are businesses that have already developed frameworks of innovation. And this is not for today. We can do innovation another day. But that is where we know how to capture ideas for process improvements in the business and triage them and roll them out, how to assess new technologies and bring them in, how to make sure that we're making the most of the technologies we already have, how to identify our technology leaders in-house and put them on a platform so they take all of us forward. Yeah? We'll do another time on that one. Right now, I imagine most people here would identify, or most people everywhere I go, identify as the dabbling stage. And I'll talk to you about how we move to adopting. And I see a question here about protecting client information. Stay with me. We're covering it today. To move from dabbling to adopting, the first thing we need is leadership alignment. If I don't have leadership alignment, it's not going to work. So the first thing I do in any program that I do in any accounting firm, small or medium, I don't do large, I take the executives, the partners in a room, and I answer all their questions. So first, I inform them on the state of AI, but then I listen to all their questions, and I'll show you immediately what questions they usually ask, and answer all their questions. They're asking questions because they care. They want to make sure we're safe. We answer them. We move all the blocks, and then we're ready to go. The next thing we need to move from dabbling to adopting is AI literacy. And AI literacy is knowing how to drive these tools well and knowing how to use it responsibly. And we need to train people on that. And final piece of the puzzle is governance frameworks. And these are two big words to say a good AI policy that will tell people what they're allowed and not allowed to do so people can do the right thing. These are the things we need. So I'll take you through a roadmap today of how we implement all of those. But before we start, I want to play a game. Do you want to play with me, Joyce?
Let's do it.
Let's play. So true or false? I'll show you some statements. Tell me what you think. When we share information with AI, it is now in the public domain. True or false? What do you think? I wonder, because imagine an accountant taking the profit and loss of some client and putting it in AI to help it come up with some insights or to analyze it. Or uploading a spreadsheet with confidential information to get some help from AI. Do you reckon that's okay?
Yeah. So when we share information on AI, it is now in the public domain.
Yeah. So if I upload the tax nuggets profit and loss to ask about some question into ChatGPT, can someone else then go and ask what's the profit of tax nuggets? But we don't need to because you post it on LinkedIn. But would someone do that?
Yeah, could someone just go, give me the profit of tax nuggets in FY24 because I've uploaded my, P&L to ask for financial interpretation and insights.
Yes.
Right. Most
So I'm
people think
seeing
it's
in the
true.
chat. I'm seeing in the
70%.
chat. Some people say depends. Some people say true. So let me give you two answers. I'll give you the intuitive explanation, but then I'll talk to you about what you can actually use. The intuitive explanation is fun, but it's not. You don't base decisions on it. The intuitive information is that generative AI is not like Google. Google read the entire internet and indexed it. And then when you ask a question like, what's the profit of tax nuggets? It goes, keywords, profit, tax nuggets. Have I got something? Goes through the index, found an article, found some piece of information, retrieve that and show you. It retrieves from a library. It's a librarian. Generative AI is not a librarian. It's just this crazy smart person who read the whole world and learned patterns from it and can now predict what the answer might be. And so it doesn't retrieve information from a database. And so for it to be convinced that that piece of information that I dropped in there is valuable information, that is reliable and is a pattern, it needs to see a lot of it. My tiny drop there, no. It's not. If it used it for its training, it's not going to be impacted by my little drop in the ocean. That's the intuitive explanation. The official explanation is that, like someone said in the chat, it depends. So it depends what you use. So if you use a free ChatGPT account or if you use a paid ChatGPT account, you've got a toggle there that in your settings that allows you to determine if you allow or not allow them to use your chats for training. And if you say no, they will not. You may then still ask yourself where that information is stored and is that okay? But the option of using it safely is there. If you're using Microsoft Copilot, it lives inside your documents. It already sees all your documents. You cannot not share with it. My answer is if you're using the right accounts, paid accounts, with the right security settings, you can.
Yeah.
Not with free accounts, not when you're not informed of the settings.
Yeah, but would you still, let's say you toggle it off, right? ChatGPT, you can't use my data for training. You still wouldn't upload any identifying data, like the identifying client data, right?
I'm not giving you legal advice. I will tell you that a lot of firms that I work with, accountants, lawyers, all sorts, have read all the terms and conditions and have read all the security policies, whatever, and do use the team account, the team version of ChatGPT with confidential information, with the right security settings. Copilot, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Good.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move ahead. So let's try another one. Using AI increases the risk of a data breach. Is that true or false? Are we more at risk if we use AI? Are we more at risk of a data breach? So we're starting to upload this information into this tool and into that tool. Yeah? Is it more of a breach, of a risk of a data breach?
Get involved, people.
Yeah.
It's keep going. All right, let's look at the answers.
All right. So, we've got about a half and a half. And the thing is, my answer is yes, unless you teach people how to use it safely. So if you're there in the dabbling group, some people are using it, but you haven't trained them. If you're there in the observing group, you haven't taught anything. People will use whatever they find online and will upload, we're perfect 50-50 at the moment, and will upload information to wherever they think is safe. And that increases your risk of a data breach 100%. I can also upload data to ChatGPT and then generously share that chat with everyone else to learn how to use ChatGPT well, because you can share chats. But what about all the data I uploaded? So I want to say that using AI untrained without training your people does increase the risk, but it increases the risk in the same way that giving them email increases the risk, because they can upload it, attach a profit and loss and send it to the wrong client or clients, and there's your data breach. But you teach them how to use the tool responsibly, and then you're safe. So the answer is training.
Understand.
Let's do another one. So the next one is, we need to tell clients when we use AI. We need to disclose. So if I'm using AI to do your work, Joyce, I need to let you know. Do I need to let you know? that I'm using AI?
These are really good questions, Inbal. They're very
high questions,
controversial.
aren't they?
And they make you think, Like the one I got from the last question is like, you can't just stick your head in the sand with AI because your people are using it. So you have to start having a policy on safe use, right? So yeah.
100%. And if you're not allowing your people to use it, they're using it secretly, Joy.
Yeah.
So you might as well.
Yeah. Do we need to tell our clients when we
Do we
use
need to?
AI?
Let's see what people think. So we have, clicking the wrong place, we have majority thinking yes, but many people think no. And let me tell you what I think. On one hand, you could say a lot of the people who say, no, we don't need to. It's like using spell check or like using search or like using a template in Word. I don't tell you that I did all of those things. You know that I do all of those things.
It's a tool.
It's a tool. And you actually expect me to use tools when I do my work. So I don't need to tell you. And I sort of at some level, I think that is true. So if I'm giving you this presentation now and you imagine that I did use AI to do all sorts of parts of it, but you don't care because you feel secure that I own all the information I'm sharing with you. Anything you ask me, I'm not going to say, I don't know, that slide, the AI put it there. I'm not going to say that, right? And so you don't care, you're fine. However, a friend from the industry actually shared with me recently that they downloaded an ebook from some website and got a phone call from that author a few days later asking them, oh, you downloaded the ebook. What were your questions? What are you after? What are your challenges in your business? And they had a good chat. And about 4 or 5...
That's a bit creepy.
It is, but it's a sales funnel thing. And then 4 or 5 minutes into the conversation, my friend realizing they weren't talking to a human, it was AI.
Okay. Yeah, that is...
Is that okay? That is not okay. That is not okay. And so I think that is very not okay. And so if people interact with something that is fully AI, if people are talking to a chatbot, if people are downloading a report that was created automatically by an AI, if we have a process that quarterly reviews or whatever and sends the summary to the client using AI, if something is directly AI, no human between the AI and the client, it needs to say this was automatically generated by AI, which is not always accurate, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah?
Yeah, just the captions, subtitling, auto-generated versus this has been reviewed by a human for accuracy.
We assume that everything's been reviewed. If it hasn't, it needs to have it needs to say that.
That's a good policy.
A lot of people also put in their engagement letters, we use AI for our work, we train our people, we use it responsibly, and I think that's a good look, actually. Yeah, but that's the distinction there. All right. Next one, we need an AI policy. Do we need an AI policy, Joyce? What do you think? Do you think we need an AI policy for our business?
Well, I absolutely think yes.
You think yes?
But I just don't know how to do one. I don't know where to get started.
Right. Okay. I'll help you with that.
I'll
help you with that
today. We would get a call with you after this session, and we can.
I'll give you my
give me
template.
some. Yeah.
Yeah. So majority of people say true. Some people say false. This is very representative that very few will say no. And I'll tell you why, or at least why I think. If somebody has different opinions, you can put them in the chat. People say, hey, this is another app we're using. It should just be, let's just update our IT policy, and that's it. Like, we're not creating a separate policy for every app we're using or every kind of technology we're using. Just another thing, which I sort of agree with, but I think that, yes, with time, they will merge and it will just become how we use technology. But right now, this is too new. We all don't know how to use it. We all learn. We all need safe guardrails to keep us safe because nobody wants to do the wrong thing. We all want to do the right thing. And so I completely agree that we do need a separate AI policy right now, or a policy on the use of AI. And we do need it to be very clear and simple and easy to understand, not like a lot of the legal policies that we're reading and we don't, we just sign. No, this one, people really need the guidance. And we need to talk about it. We need it to be out there so everyone's aware of what's going on with this and what they're allowed and not allowed to do, and we need to review it very regularly. So all the businesses that I've helped with an AI policy a few months ago, we now start reviewing it to add agents in, because that's a new thing that we didn't even think about back then. We didn't know. So then we need to update. Last one. Ready?
This is fun.
Last one. This is fun.
Yeah, I love it.
The quality of work may decline if we allow teams to use AI. They'll get lazy, They'll just go, like they say about students at school. You just give them homework, they'll put it in chatty, bring their answer, and that's it. They'll get lazy. And the quality you can see that on LinkedIn, so much chatty generated content. It's just generic and not interesting.
This will be very controversial. I think this will be quite a 50-50 split. It depends on whether you're an optimist or a skeptic. It will depend on what your answer is.
Let's see. Well, we have more false than true. We're an optimist bunch.
Yay. That's why you're all here. It's like the pessimists and the skeptics will just like, yeah, whatever. AI is just
They're like,
all
not doing this.
Rubbish. Yeah.
Well, and my answer is upskill your team, because it's very easy to, if you ask me, Inbal, I need you to do a presentation on adopting AI. And I'd go, Chatty, I need to do a presentation on adopting AI for accountants. Give me an outline. Thank you. Done. Write me the presentation. Here we go. Not going to be amazing, Joyce. It's going to be quite generic. It's going to be quite fluffy and not great. No stories, no depth. But if I do what I do all the time and go, hey, Chatty, I'm going to give a presentation on adopting AI in accounting firms. Here are the things I've done before. Here are the things I'm thinking about. What else can we do? Oh, you're giving me all these options. Can we talk a bit more about option number 2? I'm curious about that. Can you give me some examples? What are some others doing? What are reasons not to do that? And I investigate and iterate and have chats and have more chats. And then I go, right, now I've got a good outline. Now, Chatty, let's start outlining it. Now let's start working on chapter 1. Now let's start. The quality of my work will actually get better, will increase, not decline.
Absolutely. AI is not there to replace what you do completely. It's there to enhance what you do.
Maybe one day, I don't know, but right now, I don't automate. In my business, we all use AI, and we use a lot of AI, and we must use AI. It's not only that it's not cheating, it's expected. I do not pay anyone anymore who doesn't use AI and use it well.
Okay.
But what we want is to use it well. And so in my business, no process is automated end-to-end with AI right now. Maybe one day it will be. Right now, not at all. Nothing. Everything is, Joyce, your task is still your task. You may use AI to do 80% of it, but you still own your task.
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
And I think that's where we are today.
You can't remove the human from the process, from the loop.
Maybe you will. I don't know. Not yet.
Yeah.
And we're talking agents. Let's do a second section about agents. That's not today. All right. That was fun. Thank you for playing with me, everyone. Let's talk about the roadmap and how to implement. Someone's asking, can AI recognize work done by AI? The short answer is no. And you'll find that there are, in text, in images, there are other things that can, but in text, it can give it some guess at the percentage. What I see people do is, it gives you a guess. It says, likely this was AI generated. They take it back to the AI and they say, make it more human, bring it back. Now it passes the test.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do the roadmap. Sorry, one sec. So all those AI detectors are BS. Not all, and not always, but they will detect the things that are clearly AI, but you and I can detect a lot of those too.
A lot of M dashes. That's one hint I heard.
Yeah, right? The long dashes there.
Nobody even knows how to type an M dash on the keyboard.
But it's there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. And also it's how we define if AI did it or if AI helped me do it. I take almost everything I write and I go, is this grammatically correct? Because English is not my first language. Should that be detected? I think it's fair use. Okay, let's go. Let's talk about the roadmap to implement AI in your business. And we'll go through 6 steps, and I'll try to give as much detail as I can on each one of them. So the first thing we talked about is leadership alignment. Every project I do in an accounting firm starts with getting leadership alignment, getting all the executives, partners in a room, locking the door, not really. And nobody goes out until I've convinced everyone. Until everyone is comfortable with AI. And to do that, that's the only way I know how to do that, is to open my heart, listen to their concerns, and really provide answers. They are concerned for valid reasons because they care about the business. So they ask questions. So I start usually by giving them the state of AI, where we are, and that sort of thing, and what's coming. And then we talk about their concerns. So concerns that come up are things, a lot of the things we talked about already. How will we maintain quality if AI does the work for staff? People, the partners ask, how will we maintain quality? Our staff will just start using it and it will send crap to their clients. How will new staff even learn if AI does the work for them? Which reminds me a bit of when we moved from, I'm old enough to remember, when we moved from paper to desktop and we started having spreadsheets that add up all the numbers themselves, and you don't need to mentally add numbers and entries, credits and debits. You just put in an invoice. You don't need to know the double entry. And everyone was concerned. How will people even understand accounting if the systems automate everything? There's concern around sharing confidential information about which tools to use, which is a big question, where to put your money. Is it cheating? We've asked that one, right? Is it cheating to use AI? Do we need to let clients know? And which AI is safe to share confidential information or client information? Where does it fit in our processes? They always ask. So where in the process do we use AI? What are others doing with AI is one of the biggest questions people ask. And can I just sit and wait? People actually ask that and they go, this is changing so fast. This is so new. Why don't we just wait for it to stabilize? Which I say, no, you cannot just sit and wait, because if you don't upskill your team right now, you will find yourself in a few months with an AI illiterate team where everyone else is already miles ahead. And the challenge is just going to grow. Also, you'll lose all your great stuff if you don't allow them to use the tools out there. And do I need a policy? And there's more questions, but AI leadership alignment is about listening to all these questions and answering them with an open heart, not with calling people dinosaurs and thinking they're behind. Really understanding what concerns them and making sure everyone's comfortable. The next step is selecting your tools. AI comes to us in a few ways. Maybe there's three main ways. One is it starts showing up in the tools we use every day. So you open Outlook and suddenly there's AI in there. You open Xero, QuickBooks Online, suddenly there's AI inside there. You go to search something on Google and suddenly there's AI there. You just use the apps you always used and suddenly there's AI there. The other category is AI, new categories, like an AI meeting assistant that we never had and showed up because of AI. And the third category, which is the biggest, I think, is AI in general purpose AI tools like ChatGPT, etc. So the first one is easy. It shows up in apps, you'll start using it. The hard one is general purpose AI tools, where people go, which tools should I invest in? I'm going to spend money on a paid account because Inbal said that we don't use free accounts for work purposes, and we want to be able to share confidential information because we don't want people to have to anonymize everything because it just gets too hard and people won't use it. And Inbal said we need to use it a lot to build that skill. So which tools am I going to use? Which general purpose tools am I going to spend money on for my team? So here are my thoughts. We want to use tools for the general purpose ones. We want to use tools that are becoming mainstreams. I don't want to be the early adopters. I don't want to be the bleeding edge. I want to use what everyone's already using and is proven to be good, safe, reliable. And so the first one, obviously, is ChatGPT. So ChatGPT came into our life, exploded into our lives in November 2022. So it's been around for 2.5 years now. And it's consistently the one that gives us the most advanced capabilities. It has advanced voice mode, and it has memory, and it has deep research now, and it has tasks, starting to introduce agents. They're working on so many things, on computer using agents, all these things. They consistently give us the latest and greatest. So if I want my team to develop their skill and I convince you all the time that the most important thing right now is to develop our skill, our AI literacy, then I want to give my team and myself the best playground with the most activities to try everything and to learn how to use this new technology.
Yep.
So that's ChatGPT. I'm a huge fan. The next one, though, is Microsoft Copilot. So there's ChatGPT here and there's Microsoft Copilot here. Microsoft Copilot doesn't give us, it always is a bit behind in terms of capabilities. So they just announced that they will introduce all the things I just listed, memory and advanced voice mode and deep research, etc. Whereas in Chatty, I've had them for months now. So they're always a bit behind. We're also always using a bit of an older model, because when the newest models comes out and ChatGPT launches or releases it, Microsoft work to implement or to integrate it into all the apps. So we're always using a bit of an older model there. So it just doesn't feel as smart. Yeah. It's not as smart as Chatty. However, it is integrated with all my apps. It knows my emails and my calendar. It knows my meetings on Teams, my messages. It knows my files on SharePoint and OneDrive. So I can ask, what have I been working on yesterday? And it will give me a list that I can use for my timesheet if I do timesheets. I can ask, how's my project with Joyce going? And it will give me a summary. Joyce sent you this email. She's asked for that. You sent her that. She said we should do this. Here is the file. I can ask it, who do I know at Tax Nuggets? I don't remember their names. And it will go, oh, you know Joyce and you know Vicky, right? So it's my helpful assistant that knows my life. I don't need to upload documents to ChatGPT and download, and I work in my environment. It's also easier for people who are a bit less onto it and will adopt a bit slower. If it's in their face, because Copilot lives inside Excel, inside Word, inside Outlook, a lot more likely to use. So,
Yep. So we've got a couple of questions about Copilot, because I imagine, most of the accountants have Copilot. So is it part and parcel of the paid Office 365 subscription, or is it extra?
There's a free Copilot on the web. If you just go copilot.microsoft.com, there's the free one. Okay. It doesn't link to your emails, etc. It's just like a generic out there AI. It can search the web and answer general questions. If you want the one that links to your work, that links to your apps and data, that's the Copilot for Office or Copilot for M365. It's another license on top of your license. I see. I don't remember. Maybe it's $30 a month. Maybe it's $30 US or 20 or something along those lines per user. Until a few months ago, I used to say, it's just not good enough. It was very slow. It was very frustrating. It was just not great. And my concern was that if we give this to our users, they're not going to come back and use it again and again. And having said 300 times and continuing to say, the most important thing right now is to develop the skill. I want my users on AI all the time developing their skill and learning what works and what doesn't work and developing their intuition. If I give them a tool they don't like, not going to work. So until a few months ago, I was like, ChatGPT. Now I changed my verdict. Copilot made great progress. It's now fast. It's good. It's useful. There are a lot of things that I have obviously both and also a few others. And there are quite a few things that I actually go to Copilot before I go to ChatGPT to do. Okay. And so my recommendation has changed. And I think both are great choices. Copilot is an easier choice to manage because security, because easier to pick up. People who are already using ChatGPT are going to hate you if you take it away and give them Copilot.
Unfortunately.
Because it's less advanced. Even simple things like ChatGPT has memory. You tell it once, I like Australian spelling, that's it. Copilot doesn't yet. So every time you have to get rid of the Zs. It's little bit. So, and there are big things as well.
Are there privacy issues with using Copilot? Or is it just a matter of having the right settings?
The only issue to be aware of if you're implementing Copilot, and we'll just skim through that quickly for time, is that you're completely safe, at least if you believe that Microsoft are doing what they're doing. So on paper, you're completely safe because it lives in your environment. It sees your documents, your emails, and you're safe. You're not choosing what to share with it. The issues start internally. Because if you're using SharePoint, for your documents, and you've got Outlook and all those things. Copilot uses your permission. So I'm asking Copilot a question. It uses my permissions to decide what information it will find for me and how it will answer my question. So I'm asking, how are we going with project Y, or how are we doing with this client? If I have different permissions to you, let's imagine we're in the same business, we'll get different answers, because maybe you only have access to your emails, but I also have access to some files about this client. Or maybe you have,
Or salary information.
Or salary information, yeah. So maybe you're in the HR group, and you have access to those files. So you'll get an answer to how much is Inbal earning, and I will not get an answer because I don't have access to that file. We used to share files internally share with the link, because nobody can guess a link.
Yep.
Well, guess what? Copilot can. So Copilot treats those as public information, not public in the world, public inside our organization. And so there's a bit of tidying up to do to expire those links and to make sure permissions are as they should be, and to make sure that files make sense. Like if I'm asking about the product pricing, and I've got product pricing file draft and product pricing file version 1, version 2, version whatever, where is the information going to come from? So a bit of tidying up.
Understand.
But generally, you're safe. The concern is internal, and you can tidy that up.
Cool. But sounds like there's a bit of work to do. It's not just flipping a switch and going, go for it.
Well, depending on the type of organization. I've seen a lot of accounting firms that say, look, we'll just make sure the HR information is safe. Other than that, all our staff have access to all the files anyway. We have firms that don't use SharePoint at all. They use FYI docs, or they use virtual cabinet, or they use whatever they use. Files, Copilot will not see their files anyway. So your only risk there is if you delegated mailboxes and you forgot about it, and now someone had you don't have a lot of risk there.
Yeah. Awesome. Moving along. Thanks for answering all the Copilot questions.
Claude, we can do a whole session of Copilot one day. Claude is also very popular. It's similar to ChatGPT, less functions, but people like how it writes a bit better. So people in marketing, people who write job ads, people who write stuff, often prefer Claude, just because it has a nicer tone. Like it's easier to get good writing out of it, good style writing out of it. It's also preferred by coders, but that's not us today. So there's a few other things, but generally Claude is for writing. Perplexity is your search. It's a new way of searching, and I recommend everyone give it a go. Every time you think I'm going to Google something, go to perplexity.ai and try that. What it does, I know that ChatGPT has access to search and Copilot has access to search, but they are knowledge first and then search second. Perplexity is search first. So what it does, you ask it a question, it goes and searches the web, just like Google used to do. It finds a list of articles, just like Google used to do. But then it actually reads them, finds the answer to your question, and creates a summary for you with references to the original document websites that it found. And then you can ask follow-up questions. You can use it as a guest without an account. I recommend you make an account, because then you have your history, and then you have also more questions a day that you can do. The free account is perfectly fine to use, no confidential information with free accounts. But anytime you catch yourself going, I'm going to Google that, I'm going to Perplexity that, and give that a go, because you need to get mileage on getting used to searching with AI. And then there are things like DeepSeek, like that came into our life, a few months ago now. It's out of a Chinese company. It came in and it's faster and it's as good as ChatGPT, and it's open source, and it took less to develop, and it's amazing. It also has some content moderation, which is what we call censorship, and it decides what you should and shouldn't know. And then a Canadian lab found that it collects information from your device and sends it home. And so there's a few trust issues there. Not how I like to build my relationships. So I'm not sure about that one. And there's many others. But if you're like me and you just want to use the mainstream things that people use, I think your choice should be between ChatGPT and Copilot. I've got Gemini here. Anyone who's on the Google platform, Gemini is the equivalent of Copilot. It has access to Google Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Docs, etc. So your choice is between those two. this is what accounting firms do. They buy licenses to everyone for one of these two, Copilot or ChatGPT. Claude for your people in marketing, Perplexity, everyone should use free, and things like DeepSeek, probably not for business use. Right, let's move on so that we can cover this whole roadmap in the 12, 13 minutes we have left, so that you know all the details on how to implement AI. So AI policy. Everybody needs an AI policy, or it's really a policy on the use of AI. If you go ChatGPT, make me an AI policy, it will talk to you about how to make sure your data is not biased and how to choose your training data. And it's not that.
Too generic.
And it's really thinking about developing AI and about organizations that develop AI platforms. We are really talking about a policy for the use of AI as users. And we want to make sure we cover things there like which tools we're allowed and not allowed to use, and which tools we're allowed to share confidential information with, and what are the ways to verify the information that I get from AI, because we haven't talked about that. And if you do a training session with me, you'll hear me 700 times saying it's not always correct. AI makes stuff up. And that's a lot of rewiring of our brain, because we're using an accounting system, we run a profit and loss. It is correct. Well, to the data that came in, but we don't need to check that it added up the numbers right. We don't need to check that it forgot if it forgot a transaction. AI does sometimes add things up wrong, and it does sometimes just forget to add up one of the lines, and it does sometimes just make things up. And there's a lot of information out there about when it gets things wrong and why it gets them wrong. But all I care about is that often it gets them wrong. So part of my training, when we train people, is also to show them and to really bring home the idea that AI gets things wrong. So the policy also has to cover how to verify the information. Personal versus business use, it needs to cover that. I actually think that we should allow everyone to use it for personal use, as long as they do it in a professional way and they don't use it for things that are not supposed to. But for me, the more my team uses AI for anything, the more literacy they develop, the more they learn how to get great results out of this. Even if they did it for planning their trip to Rome or finding a restaurant, that's okay, because they still are spending their time becoming great drivers of AI. I see there's a lot of chatter here going on around Grok. That's what's that? That's the Elon Musk one. Yeah, if we talk about relationships and how I feel about people in the world, we're not going to go there. It's not in training mode, it's out there and it's considered very good. However, I stick to the ones for business use. I stick with the ones that everybody else is using for business, and that are designed for business, and that all the target market is enterprise. And so I know that that's what they do with their security. I know that that's what they have in mind when they design their new functionality. I know that they're thinking about businesses like me when they develop it. And that is not DeepSeek and that is not Grok. Right now, it's ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini. These are the leading ones. That's what everyone's using.
Yeah, trust is so important, I think.
Trust is really important, isn't it? Yeah. Someone just asked Perplexity a question regarding Div7a and trusts. Good response. Ask them follow-up questions now. Go, but how about this? And show it in a table. And what if my client, and give not names, but give details, like it's a big, small, rural, I don't know, whatever matters. What if the loan is over this number or not? Just ask more and you'll be amazed with how much it goes with you into details rather than just generic information. One of the kind of magic that happens with AI that we didn't have before is that before we could always find only generic information and we had to apply it to a particular circumstance. So you could read the rules on the ATO website, but you had to apply it to the circumstance of this client. Now with AI, with Perplexity or ChatGPT or Copilot or any of them, they can help you apply it to that particular circumstance. That is the amazing, magical, unprecedented part of it.
So potentially when you're doing tax research, maybe not today, but one day you could go, these are my client's circumstances. And then go, what do you reckon? What's the tax implication? And
But yes,
there's
100%.
references. Yeah.
100%. And you can do that today as long as you don't let it make the decisions and recommendations. You just listen and you go, all right, yeah, I agree with that bit. I don't agree with that bit. And that's another important distinction that we can make, that if you're using AI, Joyce, for something that you're a subject matter at, so you're going to ask it a tax question on Div 7a, you can probably read it and go, oh, yeah, that's right, I'm going to use this. If I, not an accountant, ask the same question, I don't have the tools to decide if this makes sense or not. It looks good, it sounds good, it's probably true. But to me, it's just like as if I asked someone on the train this question, and they sound really smart and they're wearing a suit, but I don't really know what they know and don't know.
Absolutely.
And so when you're asking it about things that you know really well, it's a great shortcut, and it's a great mental. You can get it to challenge you. You can get it to show you points of view you didn't think about. You can get it to increase your thinking. But if you're asking it about topics you're not an expert in, medical things maybe, you go and check that then with someone who does know before you take that pill.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's about what you don't know, and so you haven't asked the question in the right way, or you haven't followed up with lots of other questions. I think that's the key. And for me, it's like, that's probably where, you still need accountants and tax advisors.
100%. Yeah. So I would not use ChatGPT, and I use AI all the time. I will not use ChatGPT to make decisions about accounting, but I would research it before I go to my accountant and go, this is what I read, this is what I think. Is this right? Is this what I should do? Okay. Right. So next step, or where am I? Here. Okay. So I have a guide to implementing AI in your firm that has also the stuff about policy in there and all sorts of stuff. I'll give it to you at the end of this session. All right. So the next step that you need to do is staff training. So you created a policy. You know what you're going to use. Now you need to get your team up to speed. And the way I do that is we think about what the blockers are and why people are not starting with AI, and we solve them in the training. So blocker one is usually they don't know where to start. I'll tell them because I decided what tools we're going to use. So I'll tell them we're using Copilot or we're using ChatGPT. Let me get you started. Problem number two, that's a big one, is they don't know how it applies to their work. And so the best thing I can do in the training, because, training on AI, it's not like it's a system that I can go, all right, let me take you through all the menu items and you'll know exactly how to use it. There's no menu, there's just a chat box and that's it. There's one box. I've shown it to you. Go. So the biggest part is to show them how we can use it. And so in my mind, I sort of have a long list of categories of how people use AI. They use it for writing, for drafting. They use it for research. They use it to outline. They use it as tech support. They use it for coaching. They use it for this, and that. And then I'll pick a few, like the top 5. And this is what I'll do in a training session. I'll take them through and show them an example of how to do each and give them time to do it themselves so that by the end of the session, they all have some history in their chat of things they tried, and they must find out of those 5, at least one. They'll go, oh, I'm going to start doing this every day now. This is what we want. Training people to get started with AI is not hard. It's just one box there. We need to give them the confidence. We need to give them the theory of how to do it safely, responsibly, how to verify results, etc., what to expect of it, how to put it as part of your workflow, not as expecting it. Like the biggest mistake is people just dump their problem and expect the end result. There's 10 steps between. And teaching them all of that, showing them examples and giving them a safe space where they can try it themselves. And off they go. My stats, and these are my stats, not official by anyone, but the same question that I asked you in the beginning, how often do you use generative AI for work? And I ask it everywhere. So when I come into firms, I ask it and I add all of these answers into my spreadsheet and I keep running average, right? So I have about 49, so about a half of the people who never tried or tried a few times. And then we run one training session and everybody moves to the left of it.
Oh, wow.
Right? No one's never tried because they tried with us in the session. And we've got some that tried a few times only in the session with us. And then we run another session. And after that, we get consistently over 95% of the people in the firm using it sometimes or all the time. And for me, this is success. This is what they want. Right now, I don't care if they found the best use case on the planet, if they managed to automate this number of tasks or to save that many minutes or hours in the day and how many dollars. That is not how we look at the ROI for this right now. What I care about is that my workforce or this firm's workforce is now constantly on the playground, training, developing their skill. When AI agents come in, this team will know how to put them to work. Yeah? That's on training. We then need to practice and embed. So what that means is that, we did a training session, everyone's excited and buzzing and it's all great. And then some people will continue because they love it, but some people will go back to their timelines and deadlines and busy and forget about the whole thing. And that's not what we want. We want to keep it up, keep it alive. And so what I want to do there is I usually set up a chat on Teams where we start sharing what we're doing, what worked, what didn't work. Hey, Joyce, I did this prompt. It sucks. Don't do it. I did this and it worked. That's great. And then you're going to go, oh, I can do that too. I upload a PDF and it made it into a spreadsheet for me. Hey, I didn't know you can do that. I'm going to do that too. It applies to my processes as well. When I run training sessions, I stay in the chat for a few weeks and then I drop examples and challenges and things to get people to keep the buzz up. Yeah. And then if there's really great use cases, we want to put them into process. So everybody learns that this is how we do this thing from now on. There are some use cases. There's so many things that people do with AI and, everybody writes emails and all of that. But there are some that I like especially more than others. One of them is with Copilot or Google Gemini, if you're on the Gemini platform, asking, what did I work on today for my timesheet? Or what did I work on last week? How am I? And people literally get it to also organize it in 5-minute increments for them.
6 for accounting purposes.
Oh my goodness. Now everything I said is not credible anymore. And then it doesn't really know what you did in every moment, but it does know of all the emails you've sent and received. It does know all the documents you touched if you're using SharePoint or OneDrive. It does know of all the meetings you went to. It can separate them to meetings with clients and meetings that are internals, meetings that I was leading, meetings that I just attended. You can take it to timesheet, but you can also take it to just help me manage my time better. Where am I spending my time? Is it 100% accurate, Joyce? No. Far from it. But it's a good starting point. Yeah.
Yeah, because I can't even remember what I had for breakfast. So
yeah.
I used to always.
I don't know if it will know that, but maybe one day.
Yeah, it's not in the Copilot atmosphere.
Unless you had a meeting, breakfast with Joyce coffee. PDF to Excel, organizing data is one of the things that I see a lot, not just PDF to Excel, but any organizing data. Take this, make it into a table. I want the GST separately. I want this first. I want this after, separated to 2 tables, A great use case, saves so much time. And then you come back to the same chat and you go, now this document, now this one, now this one.
And you can upload 10 documents, get me the invoice number and a table, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Research, and now with deep research, I need to find out new tax legislation. I know that we have, I'll finish in a minute or so. And now we have deep research, which is even more sophisticated than that. Being an external expert, you're my accountant, tell me the things. You're an accountant who's expert in global, whatever. I have a client who wants to open an office in Taiwan. I don't know about that regime. Yeah. I need a marketing person. Check my website for SEO. Give me recommendations. I need a coach. Help me understand whatever. I use it as my personal trainer for sport. Meeting assistants. Everybody's using them. We talked about them a lot. I'll skip that for now. And so the final step is empowering technology leaders, using the opportunity of how we're adopting AI to build our innovation framework, to identify those in the business that will use it more than others and share with others, and to become a real tech-savvy firm. So If you are in the observing stage, you need to start selecting tools, getting leadership alignment around tools and governance, what we're allowed and not allowed to do. If you're in the dabbling stage, you want to bring everyone in. So you want to train everyone and have a clear policy. And if you're in the adopting stage, you want to start looking at frameworks of innovation to become a tech-savvy firm. So I hope I answered everything, where we are now, how to adopt, what tools to use, who to follow. So scan the QR code. You'll get a list of the people I think we should follow, the people that I follow that I think are great to keep on top of AI. You'll get my slides from today. You'll get some PDF with some tools I think you should know. You'll get my guide to adopting AI in your firm. You'll get a VIP code for my online course. If you can't or don't want to bring me in to train you, you can do my course online. All those things.
So yeah, everybody, encourage you to get involved. I have all of those resources, which is excellent.
Someone said QR code not working. I think it should. If it doesn't, go to inbal.com.au nuggets 0425.
Assistant Nugget, would you mind just putting in the URL into the chat, please? Thank you. So yeah, just wait for the chat to come on. There we go. Thank you. Because nobody wants to miss out on all those resources.
No, I think we literally do have a problem. So that's a first. Because I am not using AI, I have a human doing this. So maybe we'll send the link later to everyone.
Yeah. Oh, good. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll look at all of you all that registered, and then we'll shoot an email after this with the link to the resources. Let's move on to Q&A. So I know we've just got a couple of minutes. Maybe we'll take one or two questions if you haven't already asked them. We have also just launched our ratings poll, so let us know what you thought of today's session. So I thought it was amazing, really practical, and I love how strong your opinions are, Inbal. Like you just know, like, this is what you do, just go do it. And I love how clear the process roadmap is. So that's something that Tax Nuggets will adopt. It's just a matter of, doing it. Amazing. But yeah, final key takeaway from you. I don't see any questions so far. But yeah, there might be one or two that comes up. But yeah, to wrap it all up in one key takeaway, what would that be, Inbal?
I'm just going to post here one more thing because I'm sad about the QR. So if you go to this link and just fill it out, I'll make sure that anyone that does it in these 5 minutes will get all the resources. We'll make sure that happens because it's a shame. So it's just inbal.com.au/join, and anyone that joins in the next 5 minutes will make sure manually to send all the resources out as promised. Takeaway, you're not asking me, you're asking the chat, are you? Or are you asking me?
I'm asking both. If people want to drop in what was your favorite little key takeaway, little tidbit, feel free to do that.
If you're asking me, I hope the key takeaway is upskill right now. This is the time to develop AI literacy in our teams. This is what we need to do.
Amazing.
That's it.
All right. That's a very, very good note to wrap everything up. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. Really engaged audience today. Thanks for all your participation. And thank you so much, Inbal. As usual, always mind-blowing listening to you and very inspired as well. So yeah, this time I'm going to go and adopt your roadmap. So
good.
Thanks, everybody. Put your one final emoji hands together to say thanks to Inbal. We'll see you next time.
Bye.